Alright, this is a game in the Object 907, the Tier 10 Russian Premium Medium Tank on Himmelsdorf Standard. I realize I talk about this a lot in the stream, but I was looking through the YouTube replays and I found that I don't really have any replays where I talk about going down, playing the west side of this map and how you should do it, particularly on this outside. And I'm in a platoon in this particular case, so I know that I'm going to get support out here. And then so what I've always said is that what you want to do is you want to be able to take a fast medium into to lock down this E1 position, right? And you want to look at what your opposition is going to bring potentially to that area, and you want to either be strong with how you counter that, or if they don't push on that side, you want to be aggressive because that allows you to control a lot of the map. Whereas the hill play typically develops rather slowly. We have a fairly typical dispersion. We have about a third of our tank head to the hill. We don't really get that much support out here on the west. There's a 1390 that moves out here with me. So I'm going to head straight to the 1-2 line, and I expect Nasher to be able to cover me through his position on the 2 line. And so they push their WZ-132 out here, and this is what I always say: when you're in that light tank, you need to be careful when you push out to this side, because if an aggressive medium goes to where I go, there's no way you're going to make it. And so he is not able to make it out, so all I want to do here is just drop spot and then push forward. I know that there's a T-32 right there.
It's a trap!
And then I just want to get close. The closer I get, the better it is for me. I just need to cross here. It's going to be very difficult for him to pen here. And then all I want to do is close the range here, right? And so that's going to allow us to lock down this west side. And so we have right now an STB and F2, a 1390 that's over my position and myself, right? We can see what they have on the hill. We have a couple guys on the 8 line, but it's not that relevant. We have that with the rest of our guys on this side. We have 3 tanks back there, the Waffle 4, Tiger 2, T28 prototype. They're all way in the back, so they're not in a position really where they can support quite yet. So it's important to just try to clean up over here. If you have the opportunity to bully tier 8s and a tier 10, you definitely should. And then it's a matter of clearing out the rest of these guys here. I know that there's a 140 here. And here's where these guys that are on the 2 line in that C23 area can be helpful, because this 140 is an easy shot for them. So he has to push towards me, but he's already lost too much health, so I know that I can win this trade. And then once you lock down this J2 area, it becomes really easy to control that 3 line, because that 3 line becomes very exposed. And so that backs off the Centurion 7-1, right? And the IS-3 comes down in my direction, but again, tier 8 against a tier 10, I should be able to bully, so bully, bully, bully. And they're bringing their T28 prototype here. And so whenever you're playing against a tank like this, when you can corner camp him, sort of, if you can track him and then just shoot the track, particularly since he has a somewhat forward mounted turret, this becomes a very easy shot to just keep shooting him through the dry wheel to deal damage. And he doesn't really have that much of a shot on me. And then so 3 minutes into the game, we've done 5k damage just by being aggressive on this side and bullying tier 8s basically. There's 1 tier 10, 1 tier 9. But you'll notice what's up on the hill. Even though we had guys playing relatively conservative on the hill, they haven't made much progress on the hill. So that's something that I always say. If you're gonna go hill, it only really works if the west side is not aggressive. If the west side is aggressive and you outnumber your opponent and you trade smartly, then you're going to be able to be successful. I take a bad angle approaching on this E100. I want to get right next to him, but I hit him with the corner of my tank, even at a relatively slow speed. That's not good. What ends up happening is you get dealt a lot of damage. So I took 226 damage from him. Just from clipping him just a little bit, so you want to be careful when you do that. And so what you'll notice is that we ended up cleaning up this side. We had all of our tier 10s on this side, which certainly helped, even though Marsh was in artillery, which is not going to be super effective on this side. I mean, if you clear it out fast enough, the artillery can only pretty much get shots on the hill. But we had our STB come down and help as well. But the majority of the damage was actually done probably by myself and to a lesser extent the 1390. And that's the sort of advantage of pushing to the backside of this southwest area over here, is that you do sort of start to encapsulate these guys, particularly guys that are still at G3. Those guys suddenly become vulnerable because you control both sides of that alley, and anybody who camps the 3 line. If they had played this 1, 2, 3 line stronger, then what we would have done is played a little bit further back, let our snipers do some work. But there's a lot, particularly once you control this E1, F1 area, you have a lot of cover and a lot of peekaboo that you can do and be really effective on this side. So this is sort of the pivotal area. And so when I look at a lineup like this, as long as they're not sending multiple mediums out to F1 to counter my position, that's something where we can push right through there. And so if we look at the stats, pretty much as expected. Myself and the 1390, the 1390 did a good job of being aggressive. He didn't push out in front of me really, except to get the artillery, and that was the right move. And that's the reason why we both ended up with top XP. We did 6.5k damage again. Most of that was just bullying 8s, and that's sort of the thing that you have to be able to focus on when you're pushing aside, is that if you have opportunity to bully tanks, you absolutely have to take advantage of that. And so anyways, the moral of the story is that by being aggressive on that west side, and we benefited from the fact that they did not commit to defend that side. We basically went through these layers of defense. First the WZ-132, which is really more of a spotter, but he took too deep of a spotting run, and so that killed him. The T-32 was the guy next furthest out, but he was basically ISO'd. The Object 140, that was the next layer, he was on the 3 line, which made him susceptible to getting shot in the rear from our guys in that C2 area, given the fact that once he gets lit, and that forces him to basically funnel into us or sit on that line and die, and so that basically killed him without much of an exchange. And then the IS-3, right? And so there's a lot of this one at a time, and that always works to your advantage if you're the higher tier, higher DPM tank, and you just want to be able to create situations like that where like if the IS-3 didn't charge us, we would have been able to pin that Centurion 7-1 back in the position on that G line in that G3 area. And so those are the types of mismatches that you want to create, and you'll notice that what we didn't do is we didn't be passive. We didn't wait to see what developed. We looked at what was spotted on the hill. We looked at what was spotted on our side, and we pushed, right? And it was one of those things where you have to be able to read the situation. Like if that 140 and the T-28 and the IS-3, were more in one position. Like let's say they were all of those tanks were at where the Object 140 was, and they started a concerted counter push to the west. Right, we wouldn't have the firepower to take that. But the thing is, we're in a medium tank, and we have firing support from the rear, so all we would have to do in that particular case, so like if we went through that J2 area and we ran into those 4 tanks and they started to counter push, all we'd have to do is just turn around and go back up through the 2 line, and then we could cut through the middle or do something along those lines. And so that's particularly when you watch the stream, I almost always play west on Himmelsdorf standard, just because I think it's more effective, it's faster than taking hill, and as long as you're not super passive there, you can usually win before they are through on the hill or the 8 line. Anyhow, I hope that was helpful for playing Himmelsdorf, and thanks for watching.